I'm Dr. Tracy Cooper, and I'm an international consultant on high sensitivity, an author of 3 books, a professor of education at Baker University, where I work with doctoral students in a leadership program. I'm one of the producers for the documentary film Sensitive Men Rising, and most importantly, I'm a leader and a highly sensitive man. Our agenda for this talk covers a bit about the documentary film Sensitive Men Rising and its importance in the lives of highly sensitive men, my personal journey, my viewpoints on the conscious, highly sensitive man, the environment he may thrive in, some perspectives on what it's like to work with highly sensitive men, and how he might approach leadership. Sensitive Men Rising is a much anticipated and long-awaited documentary film that's designed to dispel the notions many people have when they hear the phrase highly sensitive man. Now, we knew going in that creating such a film would be a heavy lift because so many men are still reluctant to speak publicly about being highly sensitive due to cultural stigmas and pressures to conform to an out-of-balance warrior archetype that hasn't matured to an expression of benevolent manhood. Many highly sensitive men as well have experienced just old-fashioned shame and guilt from intolerant parents, especially fathers, who could not relate to or support sensitivity in their sons, believing only women cry or show any emotions, except anger. That one was approved of for boys. Many highly sensitive men, however, did benefit from loving, supportive parenting and experienced acceptance and encouragement. The film aims to present both realities so viewers will find at least one story that they can relate to. We intentionally allowed these men to tell their own stories. Nothing is scripted. And we believe that providing these honest, real-world experiences will connect more deeply with viewers. Our hope is highly sensitive men out there and those who love them will view the film with an open mind and heart and come to an accurate understanding of this genetic trait as a naturally occurring and intended survival strategy of pausing to think before acting that's present in about 30% of the population, half being men, so roughly 1 billion men. And that it is not a pathology or an illness or something that needs to be medicated away. Indeed, having worked with highly sensitive men for over a decade, authored a book on the topic, conducted numerous workshops, and filmed several of the interviews for this documentary, I can say no two highly sensitive men are alike. If we think of high sensitivity as a temperament, it's the base layer for how we process life. But there are things that happen to us in early childhood that affect us, like traumas, chaos in the home, or strong conflict. These adverse childhood experiences can color the way we relate to other people. They can influence our level of trust and connection with others and leave us seeking that which was missing for us in early life. Not everyone has these adverse childhood experiences, of course, and for those who were fortunate enough to have enjoyed support in a good early environment, the playing field is less cluttered with obstacles and pitfalls. All of us have free choice and make uniquely individual life choices that drastically affect our sense of self through our relationship partners, our career choices, and our ability to self-actualize over a lifetime. The men in the film all communicate their truths, their realities, as they have known them, and invite us into those realities so we may benefit from their follies, their mistakes, their suffering, their unique humanness. I think you'll agree that Sensitive Men Rising will drastically expand how you view the billion men on this planet who are highly sensitive. There's a confluence of serious issues now plaguing men in general and degrading everyone's quality of life. From male suicide rates that are 3 times that of females to high levels of stress, burnout, substance abuse, anxiety, and depression, with men falling behind on many metrics. Highly sensitive men, by virtue of their trait, feel the effects most keenly and now are speaking up to help revision a more balanced masculinity that's better suited to the needs of today and tomorrow. Clearly, we want all men to be healthy and happy, and we want that sense of well-being to be sustainable and fair for everyone. Sensitive Men Rising seeks to serve as a leadership vehicle by bringing issues to the forefront that so many men are hiding away out of shame, denial, or fear of not being seen as manly enough. Instead, we too often lose highly sensitive men, and men in general, as fathers, partners, sons, brothers, grandfathers, and leaders to addiction, suicides, and unfulfilled human potential. We believe the journey that we must embark on is an inward journey of healing, reconciliation with our authentic selves, and embracing a more balanced masculine energy that is wise, compassionate, and strong, that operates not from a place of ego threat and need to control and always be right, from a place of wholeness where men can more effectively serve as partners, collaborators, co-workers, and leaders at all levels of society. We can make sure future generations relate to men and what it means to be men in a more balanced view, where creating truly meaningful lives is the focus, where men are viewed as co-equal partners and we don't lose young men to hopelessness, depression, or despair. Sensitive Men Rising aims to be the doorway through which millions of people begin to think of men as having inner worlds that require tending as much as their outer worlds. If highly sensitive men serve as the leading edge indicators of needed change and offer visionary and practical guidance and mentoring, we will have served our purpose in alerting the world that men are in trouble and need help. Sensitive Men Rising is a crucial groundbreaking film of tremendous importance at this time in our history, where new generations require and expect new ways of being and thinking. We can adapt and thrive, or we can cling to a single-minded warrior archetype instead of a balanced blend of all archetypes, including the healer, the creator, and the sage. At its core, Sensitive Men Rising is a fundamentally optimistic and hopeful message about highly sensitive men, how they have intuited a mismatch between their core selves and society's expectations, and how they've worked to heal, transform, and thrive to help lead us to a more balanced future where all people are freer to realize their dreams. Growing up highly sensitive meant an intense inner world with rich imagination, endless curiosity, and only a partial knowing of who I really was, mixed with family dysfunction. My eyewitness view of people with failings attempting to navigate their way through life while towing along unhealed and hidden emotional traumas and issues, just out of view yet exerting their influence frequently in the form of anger, hurt, manipulation, lack of patience, and something passing for American family life. What it meant to be highly sensitive wasn't unknown to me early on, but what it felt like was scary, sometimes threatening, and intertwined with moments of joy, escapism, sweet freedom on a bicycle, and something about feeling that there were people who seemed kind, non-threatening, even jovial, and there were people that one should avoid. Also that people sometimes, the ones you counted on the most, could be unpredictable and cause great hurt through poorly chosen words and thoughts and actions. Navigating the school environment was much the same, with a few friends. Some sense of shame at my external appearance and feeling it all so deeply, yet unable to escape. School wasn't supposed to be a place of emotional torment and shrinking away, right? But that's what it felt like for me as I escaped into books, art, and any connection with nature I could get. It was odd to be so very self-aware and self-conscious at such a young age instead of carefree, laughing, and unconcerned with the internal world. This carried over into childhood, the teenage period, and beyond, and I wasn't sure of my place in the world. I became a soldier at 17, but only later did I become a warrior. This searching for place, for meaning, where talents and potential meet practical application in real world, felt to me like I had somehow been misplaced on this planet and was indeed an alien, or at the least on a distinctly individual path with no useful guides or mentors, surrounded as I was by practical everyday people, without a need for much meaning or introspection. I found some of my people in the creative world where creators flourished and openness was encouraged and celebrated. I could have easily remained solely on the artist path and become a working creative or an art professor, yet while working on developing my painting career, and I was very talented and accomplished, the nagging voice crept in saying, "What's the point? How does this matter? What's this meaning?" And I began to see that I needed something more. I needed to do something that helped people directly. The fact that I've always been a helper, as Mr. Rogers put it, proved itself out over time, as my best memories were those of helping others, learn a new skill, or solving a problem that they had, or helping them see the world more clearly, beyond their trauma glasses and shrinking away from expansion. I realized it was more about cultivating an expansive view of life that was ever growing and refining who I was that mattered more to me than conformity to a mediocre and surface level reality. In my mind, I wasn't inherently built for the same path as the well-conditioned majority. My life choices would be my own, and fail or fly, at least it would be more interesting and a richer journey than the alternative. My sense of differentness has marked me, at least psychologically, but it's also noticeable as I interact with people, especially women, who quickly sense I'm not the type of man they're so accustomed to. I feel they do not know what to make of me, but some have come to know me as patient, kind, a great mentor and role model, and as a de facto leader among men. It's an ironic privilege to find that my base layer is a temperament that predisposed me to observing, reflecting, and growth, given that my environment has rarely been conducive to growth. I've come to see being highly sensitive as one of the core unchanging features of who I am as a man, but only one, and I have free will to grow my potential in ways that completely transcend humble beginnings. Everyone has an origin story and a life narrative. Mine was just rather confusing for the first 40 years. But eventually I found grounding and managed to harness what felt like a forever drifting consciousness to one that still helps people while allowing me to continue pushing my own potential ever further. Equally balancing our rich inner lives where spirit cries for meaning and harmony integrates well with an external self-created world of contribution, compassion, and responsibility. But it does take work. It's not free. Highly sensitive men need mentoring and help healing in order to grow into their potential. The meaning we bring to life is ours to decide with multitude of options available to each of us. But the crucial work is knowing who we are truly deeply inside, beyond culture, beyond our experiences, and beyond expectations of what and who we wish to become. Meaning is given as it's realized through action and choices. High sensitivity aids us in the becoming of our true selves. When in the presence of a conscious, highly sensitive man, there is a sense of focused attention and openness to the person that's in front of him. He will hold the space for you to unfurl your story without judgment. Keenly listening for deeper meaning and insights, he's experiencing it along with you, whether good or bad, funny or sad. He feels it all and may react a little or a lot. But he may not betray what he's feeling, as the moment is what is important. He may take some moments to reflect, to process and absorb fully what's been communicated or shared, and filter that through his inner intense emotional intuitive knowing, and come back with a response far deeper than you might have expected. But you love it anyway. The level of emotional availability for him is innate to who he is, and he lives with his emotional heart on his sleeve. He's your best friend, your collaborator, your patient counselor, and sounding board. His emotional life, however, is a balance that he is always seeking to manage so it's not controlled by ego or agenda. His interest is in supporting you to become your best self and to honor your own inner authenticity. This evolved and ever-present receptiveness is grounded in empathy, but it's come at a cost, though. And he's done his inner work of healing from trauma, balancing his need to control with his need to serve, and he sees the same potential in you as a vast human being, a process unfolding and ever-blooming. His spiritual intelligence brings a depth and breadth of self-knowledge that he's always striving to hone and to refine. You may find him sitting quietly, away from the crowd, silent in his own thoughts, finding peace in the space that he's carved out for himself for a brief few moments. You may find him later taking a walk on his favorite path, seemingly lonely, yet he's often in a walking meditation, aware of his own body moving step by step, breathing in and out, feeling the natural gait of his steps. This grounds him, empties some of the hustle and bustle energy, and resets his nervous system back to calm. He's always been described as quiet, a thinker. People have often remarked or joked that still waters run deep, and he's learned to accept that others see him in the way that they are able to at any given moment. His deeper mind, though, is always busy, and sometimes overflows with so many thoughts, memories, and ideas that he must walk away and find calm where his mind and body can slow down in pace and volume. He knows and trusts that the same issues are working away in the background, and new insights will be apparent to him when he awakes each morning. During his day, he's slow to warm up and treasures that late morning clarity, and he's aware of his daily rhythms, telling him of his best times for his intense cognitive load. However, he's so keen to serve and engage that he often takes on more and more, often to please other people, until he feels depleted and like an old light bulb that's lost its ability to shine. He knows his bar for what is too much is sometimes lower than for others, but he seeks to produce higher quality outputs with original and well-reasoned plans, insights, and feedback. His deep mind works both ways, offering possibility and potential, but it's better when he has quiet and space to listen to his intuition, bubbling up with brilliant nudges. He is a thinker, an observer, a gatherer of intelligences, storing them away in carefully color-coded recesses of his mind to retrieve later, as each new problem or project asks of him new directions and options. His empathy and love for the subtle and softly overlooked has added to his vocabulary of creative options, and he relishes brainstorming, especially with others on the same wavelength. It's at this point where the abstract finds the concrete that his ability to feel, sense, and think meets his keen intuition and brings form and shape to the problems that he faces. He is often sought out for his guidance, his leadership, or his feedback, and others have come to see him as trustworthy, bright, and above all, conscientious. In time, he embraces leading others very naturally, as if leading is the fruit of his labors to develop self-awareness, his capacities to create and empathize, and his need for deeper meaning. He thinks of himself with humility, though, knowing he'll practice the skills of self-inquiry and relational collaboration throughout his lifetime. He's committed and happy to serve in causes that promote well-being, that bring needed care to people who are disadvantaged or deprived, and to teach those who are still on their learning journey. The conscious, highly sensitive man is a standout among men, among people, yet his focus is on sharing the glory or rewards to those around him whose growth journeys made it possible. He often eschews praise and recognition, but will happily give it where it is earned by others. His legacy is in the impact he has had in the lives of those he has known and chosen to spend his time with. His mission and goals are innately aligned with his deepest core self, where he seeks to grow in gratitude, capacity to love beyond mere words, and to find attunement with the rhythms of nature and time. The sensitive man will prefer autonomy, space to think and work. That's where he does his best and lays down all the good stuff that you really want. Autonomy for him provides self-directedness, and when he's able to choose how he devotes his time and energy, the results can be truly astounding. He can work on a team, but he may feel a bit diffused and less aware of how his contributions are have meaning or impact. He may have experienced poorly run teams in the past, poor managers and leaders, meaningless goals, and worked with dark personality types that have convinced him that his best path is to create his own path. His need for meaningfulness is core to his being, and he values his time and yours, and will not enjoy too much small talk at the expense of clear communications that will help everyone just move the collective efforts along. He's a good collaborator and may truly enjoy tough feedback that he needs to reframe his thinking and to improve his work. Since his focus is on leading from above the line where ego does not control or fight to be right, cooperation works well for him. But he will expect conscientious efforts and will not tolerate any less. He'll provide the support you need to accomplish your goals, both professionally and personally, but don't expect him to appreciate lackluster performance or results. The sensitive man invests his energy into creating and sustaining a healthy, positive environment for everyone. He may have known many that were neither, and he will not abide by below-the-line egoic behaviors, personal attacks, or intense competition between people or between groups. He knows and dislikes the ugly side of humanity and has likely chosen to create a business, an institution, or a practice that has its own ethos, apart from the cutthroat mentality of modern business. There's a commitment to including those who may feel cast off by society, those who never quite fit in or conformed, and you may find yourself in good company if you too have walked a similar path. Sensitive men may be leaders of nonprofits, small businesses dedicated to helping, creating, or training, or may prefer consulting work to maximize autonomy. He may lead workshops to share his knowledge and skills, and may love the live interactions when growth occurs before his eyes. There's nothing more meaningful for him than to see a fellow human being better through his efforts. He may be a tradesman and work with his hands, which affords him great autonomy and endless opportunities to do exceptional work. He may be a spiritual leader, even a spiritual warrior, or work in education or medicine and healing. The environment is the linchpin, and he will work to ensure that it remains a supportive and positive one for everyone on a consistent basis, knowing that he thrives best when everyone else is participating in keeping an overall positive environment. The sensitive man is aware of the shadow side in society, acting out its dysfunctions kind of cruelly and often knowingly. He knows the value of cultivating an inner first approach to leading in all areas of life. Inner first for him means that he has the courage to face the wounds and complexes that he's acquired, to face down ego, and to calm the need to control or to be right at all cost. He may have witnessed many relatively unevolved people in his life who seem to exist automatically with little change except their slowly advancing ages. His experiences with people have often led him to see himself and his purpose in a spiritual light, where first he must address his own unhealed traumas and work to rebalance himself away from a crushing and destructive sense of self that too closely aligns with an unevolved warrior mentality that's exacted heavy tolls on men in their relationships and their emotional lives. He's often somewhere on his journey toward realization of his most authentic self and learning more each day about how he wants to live in the world. This may take years of adjustments and changes before he feels an alignment between his truest self, understands what he's really about and how he wants to express that in the world. For the sensitive man, life has often meant he has made compromises to keep the peace, or he's slowed his own pace of development when he had little choice. His approach is soul-centered, with a commitment to peeling away the trappings of society that distract and stunt spiritual realization. To lead from a soul-centered place requires that his alignment is with his deepest ethics, ideals, and dreams, beyond culture and humanistic in nature, where what has heart and passion guide his thoughts and behaviors for the benefit of all people. Sensitive men see leading as an opportunity to truly inspire people to self-actualize to their fullest potentialities, and do so from a benevolent mentoring perspective, where the joy is in watching one's students achieve their long-held goals and aspirations, and hopefully in the process to have imparted worldviews and personal mission statements to pass the torch forever onward. Here's some thoughts that I've written down about what I think people might be interested in knowing about highly sensitive men. Sensitive men are filled with many thoughts, overflowing, tuned into an intense internal dialogue, critique, captivated and taken by great beauty, especially in small things, wonder, appreciative of those who are real, whether whole or broken, accepting, planners who know there will be unknowns, prepared, yearn to be seen and heard without fake expectations, see me, feel for the suffering of others and see it in themselves, human, cringe at what women have experienced of men, lesser, portray calm and poise, yet feel a circus of emotions just hidden from view, obscura, love unconditionally those that they've chosen to walk this life with, loyal. Notice this journey requires meaning beyond meaning, transcend, uninterested in what you think he should be, defiant, are complex and simple, multitudes of one. Know no limits in creating the new, vision. Experience life opened and free, unbound. To all the highly sensitive men out there, I'd just like to say how encouraged and hopeful I am by your love, your passion, and drive to walk your own paths. And to all the young, highly sensitive men, I'd like to say that you are the teachers, the healers, and leaders who will bring back balance to what it means to be men in our society. When I see young people, I'm filled with hope at your enthusiasm, your energy, and your sheer potential just waiting to be realized for the benefit of everyone. We need you to find your trait and put it to work in the world. I'd like to thank you for joining me for this brief talk on highly sensitive men and leading. If you found this content to be thought-provoking, useful, or generative and like to know more, please know that I have several workshops in the works for fall of 23 and into 24. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, or through my website at drtracycooper.org.